Hey everyone, on the D&D Direct video today, they shared some information about the new 3D virtual tabletop and did a little playthrough with some of the people that were participating. I wanted to offer my thoughts on why I really don't think this is going to be successful. First of all, as we all know, D&D is not a video game. One of the big complaints with 4th edition was that the rules tried to make Dungeons & Dragons feel like a video game. Well, this one actually makes D&D video game. It's got 3D rendered characters, monsters, terrain, effects using the Unreal Engine. So I feel like while it looks really good, D&D is really about using your imagination to envision your own worlds. And this game is making it seem like you need 3D models for everything. And you're kind of losing that aspect of the game about using your imagination to do things. And I know that even using a battle map might do some of that as well. And some people have opinions about that, and that's fine. This just takes it to that next level. And I feel that that's something that not a lot of people are going to be enthusiastic about. Next, I'm curious how it's going to run. I know that when I play a game online and I'm using something like Roll20, there are times where the internet connections are not that great. And if you don't have a computer that's powerful enough, we get into situations where connections are being dropped, or they can't use video, or we can't use the dynamic lighting or some of the effects, because it all depends on the processing power that you have and your internet connection that you have. How is that going to work out here? This is a pretty substantial thing that they're doing. It may not be as resource intensive as a true video game, but these are 3D models we're talking about. And so I imagine that there's going to be something you have to install on your computer, and you're going to need to have something that can render those models. And I'm not sure that there's people that are going to want to have to go out and get any sort of gaming computer in order to play D&D. One of the benefits of Dungeons & Dragons is because you're using your imagination, you can just get by with a Discord account or a Zoom account, and you don't even have to have video if you don't want to. You can do all theater of the mind. So it's going to be a very small subset of people, I feel, that would have the equipment that you need to really take advantage of this. The other thing I have is that it's going to make the DM's job even harder. As someone who's done a lot of online gaming using Roll20, I know that it can be a challenge to put together encounters where you got to get all the maps in place, you got all the tokens in place. And it can be a little difficult when you have something that just pops up during the game to have some kind of ad hoc map out there that you've got to kind of quickly get together. And I just feel like that's going to be even more difficult if you're working on this in a 3D space and you've got all these different components that you've got to try to put together. So I'm thinking there's going to be tools for them to that allows the DMs to assemble that stuff, but I don't know how long it's going to take to build such a map. So is it the type of thing that you would be able to build a map like that in a few minutes, where you're in the middle of a session and the party decides to go on some side quest and you got to quickly put together a map? Are you going to be able to put together that map that quickly, or are those situations where you're going to have to use a 2D map anyway? They kind of make it feel like you would do your whole game in this, but I feel like you might be doing this just for your boss battles, and everything else is just going to be on a 2D map. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out exactly, but it does give me some concern, because I think it's going to make a lot more work for the dungeon masters. And a big one also is, how much is it going to cost? I know for me, the amount that I'm willing to pay for something like that is not a whole lot. If they're thinking this is going to be the type of thing where people are going to pay $20-$30 a month for it, I don't think that's going to happen. To me, it'd have to be like single digit dollars as a monthly fee before I would consider it. So it needs to be a pretty low price point for me. And then I'm wondering, what do I get for that? Does that unlock everything? Or is this going to be a case where I get kind of some core set of modules, but then there's a whole bunch of microtransactions if I want to buy the farm pack or the wilderness pack or whatever else it is in order to make these different maps that they keep showing on these screens? You know, because I'm not really big on having to buy all these little one-off things and just shell out this money. I'm sure that that's what they want to do to monetize the game even more, but that's not what I'm going to want to do. And honestly, D&D Beyond has taught me that I am not a fan of renting access to materials. I've spent a lot of money on D&D Beyond with the different books that I've got, but in reality, I'm just renting them. And whenever D&D Beyond goes away, I lose all that. And if I ever close my D&D Beyond account, I lose all that because I'm just renting it. And it's not like I'm just renting it like Roll20 where I just have a subscription, and then when I stop, I just don't have access, and then I can get it again. I've actually had to pay for individual things in D&D Beyond. So if now I'm going out and I'm building a map, and I've had to buy that wilderness pack or that farm pack or that city pack, and I've got to maintain access to the tool in order to keep access to those things that I've bought, well, that starts getting really pricey and really complicated, and I'm not sure that I want to do that. So I'm not a fan of paying for something that I could lose if they fail with this experiment or decide to otherwise shut it down. So that is a big concern for me. My biggest thought on why this is going to fail is simply because I think it's unnecessary. It's a novelty. It, like I said before, it looks amazing, but no one's asking for it. I don't know that I've heard of anyone that is holding off on trying out Dungeons and Dragons because they're waiting for them to come up with some kind of 3D virtual tabletop. And I don't know of any existing Dungeons and Dragons players that are chomping at the bit for a virtual tabletop that has 3D options. It's just not something that I'm hearing about. They're saying that it looks cool, but that doesn't mean that they want it. That's cool, but is it really a thing that we're needing to take the game to the next level? And I do know for a fact from comments that I see that there are a lot of players out there who still lament the fact that we use battle grids for combat, and the fact that we've moved away from theater of the mind, and that so much of the games use these battle grids, and they much prefer the old style of just using hand-drawn grid paper and stuff and theater of the mind. So you can bet that whole group is not keen on the notion of 3D virtual tabletops. And I just have to wonder how many of the rest of the players out there are pretty much just indifferent to it because, it looks like a video game. And if they wanted to play a video game, then they would go play a video game. But you play D&D for different reasons. So it's really a solution in search of a problem in my mind. And I think that alone is a reason why I don't think it's going to be successful, because people will try it when it's released. I will certainly try it when it's released, assuming it's not terribly expensive. But how long is it going to last? Will it have staying power? Will it get enough support to even survive? I don't know. I have serious doubts about it mostly because of that last reason. I just don't feel that there's enough of a desire in the community to get something like that. And that's not even taking into account what people feel about Wizards of the Coast right now. So I think that's got a lot of stuff working against it if it's going to be successful. And no matter how well it looks, I don't feel that it's going to be a success. But let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with the things I've shared? Do you have some other opinions that maybe I didn't think about that I should consider, whether for or against it? Love to hear that down in the comments as always. Until next time, take care.